We had an opportunity to sit down and have a talk with LA County Assessor Jeff Prang. Jeff gave us some great tips on what to do for those victims of the fire in LA County. How do you apply for your property tax reassessment? What to do if you don't agree with that assessment? And how to move forward on the next steps in LA County. Please enjoy this video, and I hope you learn some valuable information from our conversation. Yes, hi. Thank you, Jeff, for being with us here today. I tried to watch as many of those press conferences as I could when we were getting information coming out of the fires in LA County. And you said something in the early days, those early press conferences, that really stuck with me. And you said that, if I could paraphrase, that people were concerned about whether or not their home survived, whether or not their pets survived. And the last thing they're thinking about is their property tax bill. But those are the types of things that are going to come due. And these people are going to need help, and they're going to need assistance with all of these administrative challenges that they're going to have as they try to kind of rebuild their lives and move forward. So I wondered if you could just share with us today just kind of a little bit about what your office is doing to help people in LA County who have lost their homes and lost their businesses.
There's so many things that need to be done, to help the victims of these wildfires. Their homes have been devastated. They may have lost loved ones or pets. And what is unfortunate is as you begin to recover, understanding what all the different administrative and bureaucratic pieces are that you need to recover, it's almost like a job. It'll be kind of overwhelming. It's complicated. The property tax administrative system involves multiple different departments. Nobody really quite understands it. So my goal has been to provide easily accessible and understandable information, and to meet people where they are and to make it as accessible to them as possible. Program that we are going to be administering is something called misfortune and calamity. Their home's value reassessed at a lower value due to a disaster such as a fire, flood, or an earthquake. There are some basic qualifications for this program. One, the damage to your property must exceed $10,000 in current value, and the claim must be filed within 12 months of the incident date. With this program, the fire victims will see their property tax bills lowered until their homes are repaired or rebuilt. And additionally, thanks to our work with the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office and with the Governor's executive order, applicants from the recent wildfires do not have to pay, who don't pay their taxes through an impound account, will qualify to have their property taxes deferred until the review of their disaster relief claim is completed. Homeowners with impound accounts that are paid automatically out of your mortgage should contact your mortgage lenders for advice on programs that may assist them. And for homeowners whose property did not suffer damage but saw a deep depreciation of the fair market value because of the impact around them, they could qualify for this program called decline in value. This allows for a temporary reduction in assessed value when when the market value of the property falls below the assessed value of the property. And we measure that value every January 1st. Unfortunately, under the current law, homeowners impacted by recent wildfires currently have to wait until next year to apply for the decline in value, because January 1st is the date that we assess property. The fires occurred a week later, although I am seeking a legislative fix that would allow those property owners to qualify to be assessed downward under decline value for the current fiscal year. As I mentioned previously, the governor did sign an executive order allowing homeowners from certain zip codes in and near disaster sites to defer their property taxes until April 10th of next year. In addition, state and federal tax agencies are granting impacted homeowners and businesses extended deadlines to pay their taxes until October 15th of this year. In LA County, if you filed a misfortune and calamity claim and you pay your taxes directly to the Treasurer Tax Collector, again, not through an impound account, the Treasurer Tax Collector recommends that you do not pay the second installment of your 2024 annual secured property tax bill, which is coming up it's due in April. And the reason for this is that filing a misfortune calamity claim serves as a request to the assessor to reassess the value of that property damaged or destroyed by the fire. It also serves as a request to the treasurer tax collector to defer payment of the tax bill without penalty or interest. If the application has already paid their first installment last December, or both installments all at one time, the auditor controller is going to adjust the property tax roll, and the tax collector will issue an adjusted tax bill, and you'll get a refund if one is due. Any reduction in the property's assessed value will result in a reduction in property taxes owed. Auditor, as I mentioned, will refund the difference after we've done that, process that claim.
Great. It sounds like you've got some great cross collaboration there with treasurer, tax collector's office, and your office. That's not always the case, so that's great to hear.
Just as a quick tutorial, the way it works is when you buy a property, you record a deed, or if you do new construction, you pull a permit. Those deeds and permits come to my office, and we determine the value. We then turn over all that data to the auditor controller, who tells you how much you owe, and they send that data to the treasurer tax collector, who sends out the bills and collects the payments.
Yes. So they're everybody's least favorite, right? And you get to be the favorite.
Although everybody thinks that I'm the guy who collects taxes, and
yeah. Well, we're clearing that up today. So that it's a lot of great information, and the misfortune and calamity that's definitely one of the things I wanted to highlight. You mentioned, I watched an interview you had on KTLA, and you mentioned that would be automatic. Is that something people need to apply for separately, or will that automatically be reassessed?
They should apply. They should apply for the misfortune calamity. They can go onto our website, including on their phone, and they can file the documents. This is really helpful for a couple of reasons. One, it lets us know who you are and where you are. Where do we send information? How do we contact you if necessary? It also automatically puts you into the system and over to the tax collector's office to make sure your property tax bills are deferred. However, there's thousands of properties that have been damaged. We are going to lower the assessment on those properties, whether or not you apply. Okay. But it's to your own advantage to apply. But it'll by setting up to apply for the misfortune calamity, by going on our website as well and enrolling in the assessor's e-service account, will allow you to track the status of your claim.
That's great. And every time you mention a program, it makes me think of something I hadn't thought of before. Not having a mailing address is something that, is different for all these people. So, updating that information has got to be critically important as well.
So the misfortune and calamity form will ask you for an address. Hopefully people will have alternative places where they can receive mail, but at least will allow us to collect a phone number or an email address so that we can make contact with the property owner.
So you mentioned the reassessment. A couple of questions I got from some of my board members was specifically regarding Prop 13. Will they be reassessed at, the Prop 13 rate where they bought their home? Or are they going to be reassessed at the current market rate? Will they see that go up?
Their pre-fire Proposition 13 base year value will continue, as long as they repair or rebuild in accordance with the law. The basic rules are that if you rebuild what was there, same footprint, same square footage, then your property taxes will remain the same as they were before the fire. There is a provision for a major emergency such as this one that you can build up to 120% of what was there without reassessment. We will not be reassessing the entire property based on market value, unless if you had 1,000 square foot house and you say, hey, it's burned down, let's build 2,000 square feet to replace it. You're going to get a new blended rate. The 1,000 square feet will be assessed at the carryover rate. The next 1,000 square feet will be assessed at market rate. The rule is you basically have to rebuild what was there.
Got it. Okay. No, blended rate. It makes perfect sense. It's all great information. So
here's another proviso, though, that I should mention, is that if your house burned down, we're going to lower the assessment, and we're going to zero out the value for the improvements for the house. But you still own the land, and the land still has value, and
Mhm.
that value under the California Constitution still remains taxable. So
Right.
one of the things one of the analysis that we were able to generate is that in Altadena, Pacific Palisades, 68% of the value of those properties on average is attributed to the land.
Mm,
So we'll be reducing the value on the improvement, but the land will still be taxable.
right.
It's possible that that land may have experienced a decline in value because it's got debris, it may have toxic contamination, it may not be as desirable of property to own for the next couple of years. So we might, in some cases, be able to do a decline in value.
Okay.
But I did want people to know that they should be prepared to still receive a tax bill for the land, although those bills have been deferred till April of next year.
Right. Yeah, hopefully that helps a lot of people be able to rebuild. I mean, in North Orange County, where I live, we live in a high fire zone. So every time there's a fire anywhere in Southern California, we're paying close attention. So knowing that, knowing what you know now, you're not out of it. You're still in the thick of it. You're still dealing with everything, going on. There's new fires. Nothing is 100% contained. But if you were able to take a moment just to look back on what you've been through so far, were there any kind of lessons learned, things you wish you homeowners knew before all of this?
I don't think there's anything that operationally that we needed to do differently. Just the scale and the size of this disaster is overwhelming not only our resources but every other government agency. So we have an enormous amount of work to do. Uh, It'll require that we divert a lot of our people from our normal work production to help people who are victimized by this fire, and it will put strain on the organization, and it will undoubtedly have an impact on local government revenues.
Mm. That'll be for our next Zoom because I'm sure we have every mayor in Orange County would love to talk to you about that. I'm sure. But from a homeowner's perspective, from a taxpayer's perspective, is there anything that you could recommend they do to be prepared? God forbid, should this happen to them? Is there documentation they need to make sure they have, online or in a safe or offsite or anything like that?
No, not as much for us. We maintain property records and ownership records about every property in the county. So people are coming into the disaster relief centers, and they just have their address, and we're able to pull up their records online. We have diagrams and maps of the property, and are able to reconstruct for our needs what was there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just for us. But you should still keep all of your important papers and deeds and titles and birth certificates, that stuff, all those things you should keep safe. And if there is a disaster, try to get those out of the house with you.
Right. Absolutely. If as you're going through the process and people are getting their assessments, when you're able to start to get to that step, is there is it a collaborative process? Is there an appeals process if maybe the homeowner thinks they were misassessed in some way? How does that work?
Yeah, there is the Assessment Appeals Board. The Appeals Board are members who are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and it's like a courtroom, and they basically you can go before the Appeals Board and argue against my office on any disagreement you have with the value that's on it. Right now, procedurally, we are still waiting for first responders to clear the area. We
Right.
can't, I don't think
You're
there is
so
such
far away
we're,
from that.
we're kind of like second responders.
Yeah.
When they leave, we come in, as well as insurance companies, et cetera. We are using aerial photography and GIS and other types of programming to help identify properties within the burn area, trying to identify those that we believe are damaged or destroyed, trying to do some data analytics with what type of fiscal impact there may be, so that when first responders clear the area, we'll be able to go in as efficiently as possible. We'll do as much of this work using mass appraisal and artificial intelligence technology in order to help us process these claims very, very quickly. And one thing to say is anytime you're doing mass appraisal, it's not as specific or as precise as an individual appraisal. So you may disagree with some of the conclusions that we have, and we would encourage you to let us know if you disagree. If we agree with you, we can change it. If not, you could file an appeal.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice on your website that that was one of the things your office has changed, when you came in, that you had modernized a lot of the systems and digitized a lot of records, and you've really tried to update the technology at the department. And it sounds like you're doing that with the assessments as well, using some of that technology, which hopefully will help to get those claims processed. So have you found that to be pretty reliable, that technology?
The technology, it's timing is really good. We're almost done with our technology project. We shifted from an old legacy mainframe green screen platform to a cloud-based system.
Okay.
All of our property files, when I took office 10 years ago, they were all in paper form. They've all been digitized. So our new technology platform is very robust and allows us to do lots of things online that before were paper-based or required in-person visits. The ability to file your claim from your iPhone or Android or whatever phone that you use is a pretty revolutionary technology from where we were just a few years ago.
Absolutely. That's why you got elected chairman.
Yeah,
You're
indeed.
doing such a great job.
Okay.
Can you tell us? I know your staff will absolutely be upset if you don't mention your website and how to go there and start this process and get more
So
information.
the website is assessor.lacounty.gov. When you log on, the first thing you see on that page is a link to disaster relief.
Okay.
That will take you to a frequently asked questions page. We try to anticipate everything that people will be asking right now in the wake of the fire. There are forms, and it's a one-stop shop for all of your questions and needs for interfacing with our office in the property tax system.
That's great. We appreciate that. And will you be continuing to participate in the press conferences and all the kind of public comments that are going around the fires?
I'm attending those where I feel like I can be useful. I don't really want to just be another face in the crowd. We're trying to get information out. We recognize that right now the information that people want the most is life safety related issues and do they have access to their home issues. We just want them to know that we're there as you begin to think about it. That we want them to know how to find us. But we're going to try to have as aggressive of a public profile as possible. Again, we're a relatively obscure office. People they don't even know what to ask from what they need for us. So we want to be in all those places and have information accessible so that as they begin to ask those questions, it's easy to find us.
No, and I think that's helpful. And I think it's helpful to have that participation because just like with me, it makes you think of things you wouldn't have thought about otherwise, for your first needs first, but then eventually they will get to the point where they need that information. So I think that's great. And just any kind of closing thoughts you'd like to share with people as they start to rebuild and start to think about that process?
Well, keep in close touch with us. Ask us questions. We're available by phone, email, or we have a chat bot online. I did want to let your viewers know that we are working with the legislature to try to fix things that will make it easier for fire victims, such as extending deadlines, providing more resources to access the programs that currently exist. There are little nuances that we're trying to figure out still. Here's one that just popped up this morning, that if you are a nonprofit organization or a church that lost your property, generally those entities are exempt from property taxes only while they are engaged in their nonprofit function in that property. Well, their property's gone, so it no longer qualifies as for the exempt use, which is kind of horrific when you lose a church and suddenly the church is burned down and now suddenly you're going to get a property tax bill that you never got before. We're trying to see if there's ways around those sort of obstacles in the law.
No, that's great. And please let us know as that moves forward if there's an opportunity to support those bills, a piece of legislation. We'd love to do that to help you. Have you been given any sort of time frame of when you think your part of the job might start in terms of the assessments?
Well, we're already starting in those areas where we have access. So as the moment access begins, opens, we will begin. But we do want to stay out of the way of the first responders. And then we're also waiting for the various fire departments to provide us their lists of damaged properties, which we'll cross-reference with our own analysis.
Okay. And is that kind of your starting point? What
Yes.
people self-report and then the list that you get from the fire department?
Self-report, the information will come from a number of sources, including from our own analysis of the fire areas using aerial photography and, as I mentioned, artificial intelligence. We're doing those things as we speak.
That's amazing. I will not keep you from that good work for too much longer, but I just really wanted to thank you for taking the time. I think you have a ton of great information, and although it might not be the most interesting on the evening news, it will absolutely help people as they begin to rebuild their lives and try to figure out how to move away from this. So thank you for all your good work. Absolutely.
Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today.
You've been incredibly gracious with your time. We appreciate that. It's obvious that you, as Dave mentioned, are very consumer friendly. You're very taxpayer friendly. It comes across very clearly that you're doing all you can to help all the residents of LA County. We're very grateful for that.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for inviting me to be with you. Please call me back. We'd love to chat with you some more, and let's keep in touch with some of these legislative ideas. Maybe there's some things you can do to help us.
Yeah, I'd love to support you in that.
Right.
Thank you for joining us today. Again, that website is assessor.lacounty.gov, assessor.lacounty.gov. I hope that you'll check it out and get some valuable information. Hope you'll join us next time for OC Tax Talk.